Good morning, ladies. It's Tuesday. I am loving highlighting different members in this group, and I'm super excited to introduce you to Kare Marin. She is incredible. You guys are going to love her and what she does because I don't know if your families are like me. We were just chatting here right before we hopped on where I have one vegetarian, my husband and I eat keto, and then two kids who just want like the most basic pasta and grilled cheese ever. Like, how do you even make this happen? So, Care is going to share today how to make meal planning easy. So, welcome, Care. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I'm super excited to be diving into this because as busy women, as busy entrepreneurs, like we need all the help we can get.
That's
So,
right. That is right.
okay. So, introducing Care, I want you to know about her because she is a kitchen coach. I actually love this title. I've never heard of it in my life. And so I think it's pretty cool. But she helps busy moms get back the time, energy, and brain power that they normally spend worrying about what's for dinner by teaching them how to make meal planning quick, easy, and sustainable. Oh my gosh, those are three of my favorite words ever. So, moms who work with her are able to experience a new simplicity in cooking and enjoying meals as a family and love it. Oh, that just, I'm like, yes, sign me up. So many moms think they know how to cook or try to make dinner healthy, but their biggest obstacles are consistent meal planning. So she was a personal chef. And for busy moms, she saw firsthand that the real obstacles are actually around mindset and logistics. So getting overwhelmed before you even start, figuring out like what to cook, when, remembering when to thaw the meat, all that craziness that goes into cooking. So this is her zone of genius. I am so grateful that God created people like her, and her clients love that she teaches them how to approach meal planning to make it easy, what to do when to get fresh meals on the table quickly. And her process is just rinse and repeat every single week. So, step by step in establishing a sustainable, long lasting meal plan system that works for you. So amazing. Like, who doesn't need this? So, Care, tell us, how did you get started in this line of work as a kitchen coach? I'm super excited to hear.
Yes, great question. Well, it started off with I just love to cook. And I started cooking just for like friends who were like, oh, could you make such and such gluten free? Or, I don't eat eggs. Could you make me something with, like this recipe without it or whatever? And so it kind of started with that. And then through like word of mouth, I became a personal chef for families. And so I was going into their homes and cooking for them and doing all the meal planning and everything. And that's where I really kind of got a lot of the insight and learned like what moms are really struggling with and why they're not meal planning for themselves. Then we had our daughter, we adopted our daughter, and I suddenly had less time. And so I brought my business online. So now I'm a kitchen coach virtually for moms and really using a lot of what I learned being in their homes and really seeing the struggles to address what I think is the real thing that really keeps moms from consistently meal planning and just keeping it simple and easy.
Amen. Yes, agreed. Mindset. I overwhelm myself before I even like take any steps. So I'm so glad actually that you are addressing this. So I mean, I know I've had like good intentions in the past, but haven't been able to stay consistent. So what do you feel like are some of the biggest misconceptions around meal planning that make it harder than it really needs to be?
Good question. Well, I think one of the things is this idea that meal planning has to be all or nothing. Um, when we kind of think of something new that we want to do, or we find a new meal plan online, and it's like we get this energy and excitement, and it's like, okay, I'm going to meal plan every meal for every day of the week forever, basically, right?
Mhm.
Because meal planning can feel endless. And so it very quickly starts to feel heavy and overwhelming. And it's like, where do I even start? And so I really encourage moms and just women in general, whether your kids are out of the house or you have grandkids, whatever it is, cooking for yourself, because as entrepreneurs, we often forget to eat, right? Is to not take an all or nothing approach.
Mm.
And what that means to me and when I work with my clients is like we start small. So if you are brand new to meal planning or you've had just disasters in the past and you want to like try again, to not try to tackle everything at once, just plan 1 or 2 meals for next week and actually plan ahead, go to the store, have the things, and like get the rhythm down and the system. And it's better than what you're doing now, right? If you're struggling with meal planning, then it's a good place to start, and then you can always build on it. So start with something that, and it's interesting because when I work with moms on this, I've heard this over and over again. I'll ask them what what number of meals, what number of dinners in 1 week that you make fresh and put on the table would be meal planning success for you? And it's never 7, right? It's not even 6. It's the most common answer is 4. And so it's just this idea that it really doesn't have to be all or nothing. And I think that's one of the biggest myths and stumbling blocks about meal planning is just, because that feels hard. That feels really overwhelming. And who wants to even try to tackle that?
Agreed. And I really feel like you are addressing the missing component in this, which is the mindset and getting out of overwhelm and starting small. And I would have never maybe put 2 and 2 together that, yeah, because I've signed up for all the meal plans and like I'm still not taking action. So what's wrong with me? But you are what makes this all come together. And I love that. Because yeah, we want sustainable, we want fresh and healthy, but like without the overwhelm. So
Yeah. Yeah.
so good. And so how long have you been doing this?
I've been online with it for about 4 years. And yeah, just loving doing it virtually. I could help a lot more people. And it's
Yeah.
funny because a lot of people kind of joke like, "Oh, I want a personal chef." And when I really went, and some people do sincerely want that. It aligns with them. But when I went into homes of families, I really found that a lot of moms want to be the one that cooks for their family,
Oh,
right? They want the burden of it released, which is kind of the personal chef comment. But really, it's a way we show love to our families. It's a way we take care of them. It's a way we connect with them. And
mhm.
so I've just really loved doing it online and helping more moms who just really want to be that for their family. And this just allows them to do it in a simple way.
Yes. Yeah. The end result. I agree with that totally. I feel like, yeah, it's a love language almost
Yeah.
where I'm
Oh, yeah.
providing healthy meals for my family and the satisfaction that I get out of it, when I make something amazing and that they all
Mhm.
love is really, I feel very proud, but doesn't happen as often as I wanted to. So,
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
and you mentioned making, healthy meals, and that's, I don't know, I feel like a really loaded word, especially these days. Like, what does healthy mean? And, what should you be cooking and all that stuff. And I always tell my community, like, I'm not a nutritionist or dietitian, and I don't decide that for you. But what I have found is with all the confusion about what is healthy and with meal planning being challenging, we often want to go towards a way of eating that somebody else has put a meal plan together, that's a way. And really the simplicity of just getting the system in place that lets you use like whole foods, things that you recognize. You buy the meats and the vegetables, the grains, and the simplicity of that, you kind of forget this like striving for like the healthiest thing, because really it's about just things you recognize and putting good food on your plate. And
Mhm.
so you can kind of let go of a lot of that pressure. Now, if you have a specific kind of diet, I work with clients who are vegan or keto or whatever, if that works for you, then absolutely, like, go with that. But for a lot of moms who aren't, there isn't a specific like labeled diet that they think that they are working with right now or think is, healthy for them, it can be confusing to pick something. And it's like, we just strip that all away and say, if you used ingredients that you bought fresh at the store and recognized, would that be good? And it's like, oh yeah, that would be good.
Mm, agreed. Yes, simplify. Oh, good. Um, so one question that I always love to hear perspective on from everyone is like starting out, like in these last 4 years, like what have you learned about God? What have you learned about yourself in this journey as through entrepreneurship?
Good question. I think one of the biggest things is just recognizing that God has given each of us a gift.
Mhm.
And he's given me a gift of the love for cooking and teaching and being able to share that with other women. And a lot of times I've like questioned that along the way, right? Like, who am I to, start telling people what they should be doing in their kitchen? Or can I really do this, as a business? And all those kind of questions that come up, and just going back to like, who did God make me?
Mhm.
And what does he want me to share? And in this slice of my life that is my business, it's cooking and meal planning and kitchen coaching. And so I have to kind of come back to that sometimes. And, when I'm questioning myself, or, we have a lot of comparison, like what are other people doing? There's other people that do meal planning online. And it's like, you just have to stay like rooted in like who God made you. And I have to stay rooted in who God made me.
Mhm.
And then also the concept that I have an area that I know I can help people. And so there are other areas where I don't know what I'm doing, and to reach out to other women who that's their area, that's their gift that God's given them. And like everybody's sharing that, like helping others and then asking for help. And
Mhm.
so, that's something that I struggle with, asking for help as well. But, I'm thinking I want people to ask me for meal planning help because I can help make it easier. And so just kind of reversing that and saying God's given other people gifts and I can access those if I will let myself.
Mm, so good. Yes. Gosh, that who am I and can I really do this as a business? I feel like that
Mm,
is a huge one. I struggled with that. I feel like so many of my clients struggle with that.
yeah.
And so what did you learn? Who are you? Like what is the answer to that question? I'm so curious to know.
Well, I mean, it's funny because the things that we like to do or have done for a long time, or they seem like they just kind of come naturally to us. And there's so much wealth in there of what other people don't know about it because they haven't spent the time, doing it. So I just think back to all the time that I've spent in the kitchen and just as a hobby and just enjoying it. And really I mean, God has definitely made me a teacher. Like I've known that since I was very young, but it's in like, what are you going to teach? Right. And, this is something that I really enjoy doing. And
Mhm.
so that just kind of combination of the interest, right, and the love for cooking that he's given me, along with the teaching, just kind of came together. And it's, it's a lot of fun. And that's really, something that I feel like I had to get in touch with at the beginning of my business and kind of have to readdress it, is like, am I still having fun doing, not that business is always fun, but like, am I doing what I was made to do? And that has, I think for everybody, maybe a little bit different, but that has a feeling to it, right? There's kind of like a vibe to that you feel like you're really in line with what God has gifted you with and what he's calling you to do. And so, kind of returning to that, because you can go a lot of different directions in business. And so, like staying rooted in that, I think has been very helpful for me.
Beautiful. Yeah, that is such a good lesson. And yeah, most of the time, things that I think we just kind of naturally discount things that do come so easy to us. You
Yeah.
know, gosh, that is a gift from God. Like He has made you exactly as He wants you to be for a reason.
Yeah.
And we just get to capitalize on that. It can be easy, it can be fun and joyful when we're doing it in Him, with Him, through Him. So I love that.
And that feeling, that God's called you to be a business owner or, a mom or both, whatever it is. I just, as starting a business, I had no idea what I was doing in terms of business. And so, I really encourage my community too, like if God has called you to be a mom and you're a mom, there's a lot of areas of parenting that I'm not that good at. Feeding my family is one of the ones I am good at. And so even in that calling of being a parent, there's just there's a lot of different things that parenting includes, right? And so to shine in the areas that you do and help others with that, but really asking for help in the other areas. And meal planning is one of those areas that, another myth I feel like I'm talking about a lot is just because you're a mom and a woman, like doesn't mean you just know how to do this,
Yeah,
right? That's not a thing that
right.
you should just know how to be in the kitchen and know how to meal plan. And like, again, everybody has kind of their own gift. And, it's just not so like we can just release that pressure and that comparison with other women. And like, that's just not a should. And it's just not a truth. It's an area that other areas of our lives, we reach out for help. But for some reason, this meal planning area, it's like, oh, I really should know how to do this because it's tied to some like cultural thing or societal thing that we're moms and women. And so, we should just know how to do it. And, I just really like kind of helping women kind of get rid of that because it's not helpful.
No. Oh my gosh. So glad you brought that up. That is an amazing point. Yeah. I don't know that I've ever fully been intentional around looking around at that, but yeah, it's just my mom did it. My dad, he made eggs. Like literally that was it. And grilled. But like, yeah, I grew up thinking that there was a lot of judgment, I think, even on myself around it doesn't come naturally to me. And
Mhm.
even still, I'm like, I've been, I'm in my mid 40s. Like I should be doing a much better job at this by now. But yeah, thank you for addressing that. Relieving some of the pressure there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so tell us how do people work with you? Like, what would that look like? What are the options for this beautiful and amazing gift of working with care?
Well, the first thing I would recommend is to check out my Facebook group, which is Practical Meal Planning Moms. And that is a great community where we're all supporting each other in the kitchen. And I share a lot of great information, like we've talked about today, that really helps with your mindset around meal planning and just lifting the weight of just meal planning itself. And so that's a great place to start and just kind of get to know me and my community and what I'm all about. And I work with moms either one-on-one or in a group program to help break down meal planning into its basic steps. And what I'm all about is making meal planning a habit. We talked earlier about like meal planning can feel like this big, heavy thing. And when you break it down into its individual components that do not have to be done all at once, you don't have to take your weekend or your whole Saturday or every night the minute you stop working till bedtime. Like it just doesn't have to be that way. We break it down and just guide you step by step through it. The goal being empowering you to have a sustainable system that you can do on your own long term. And so I do that with moms who have specific dietary restrictions or allergies, or work one-on-one there or in a group program where we do the same and just make it easy and doable and not this big scary thing anymore.
Oh, that sounds amazing. just like feels like I can breathe when I'm around you and you're talking about this.
I'm
So
so glad.
thank you for sharing all your wisdom. I am excited. I need to join your group, and I hope that there are many others that this will bless.
Yes, I hope so.
Yeah, thank you for being here, Kare. I love all you're doing and the truths again around the mindset, around making this easy. And is there anything else that you want to leave the ladies in this group with today? Any last words, any advice, anything at all?
Mm, I mean, I would just say that what I hear a lot is that it takes too much time and it doesn't fit into my schedule. And, I would just say, is that true? Is it true? And, get help where you need it and want it. And it really can be done simply and easily without a lot of time. And so basically, just kind of question the obstacles that you're seeing in front of you to meal planning, because a lot of them can be broken down pretty easily.
Okay. So the next maybe follow-up question with that is like how, if a person was thinking of getting into this, of using one of your systems, like what should they be prepared for in the amount of time? Like a
Yeah,
week.
that's a good question. So it's going to be, a little bit different amounts of time for everyone. But the way I approach meal planning, as I said, is like individual habits. And so I really like to start meal planning on Thursday, which seems
Mm.
sometimes like an odd day, but it gives you plenty of time to plan for the week that's coming,
Yeah,
assuming your week kind of starts on a Monday.
yes.
And so, like on Thursday, I just look at my schedule for the next week and say, what does next week look like? When do I need easier meals? When do I have a little bit more time? And I choose recipes. And that takes me like 10 or 15 minutes. And that's Thursday. And that's the only thing I do that day. And then Friday, I make the grocery list from those recipes and I check and see if I have any of the ingredients already that are on it. And so that's the idea, is just like that takes 10 or 15 minutes. So it's like if you have 10 or 15 minutes on your calendar each day that says what step of meal planning you're doing, it just breaks it down into it becomes so much less about time because you're saving so much time in the long run, that it can be just these simple things. If you have 10 minutes on a Sunday, take the onions that you bought and the tomatoes that you bought and just dice them. And then on Tuesday, when you're using those, you don't have to dice them. Like, and so it's just the idea of integrating it into your life and your schedule. And that's what makes it repeatable and sustainable, and not like, oh my gosh, every week I have to do this heavy thing of meal planning. No, it's just like your timer on your phone goes off. Oh, yeah, it's time to pick recipes. And that's the only thing you have to do that day. So, yeah, time just kind of becomes, of course, it's something we have to consider, but it's not hours and hours, which is, what people think. So,
Okay. Ah, such a good conversation. Thank you for mystifying, for breaking this down, for helping others do what you do. So thank
thank
you
you so
for
much for
being
having
here.
me.
Yeah. All right. So we'll put her Facebook group in the chat. Definitely go and check her out. And
Love to have you.
yeah. And we'll see you guys next week again, Tuesday, same time, same place. Have a beautiful and blessed week until then. Bye.
Bye.